Now, if you've been with us, you've seen the bus.
The whim of a madman. I like that.
Oh, boy. Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as the Funky Chicken. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So we have, I'm going to say, we're in uncharted territory right now. This is crazy to me where we are right now because we're doing things that we never do. Now, of course, the haters out there saying, oh, you paid too much for Osa Digazua, you're bums. But you know what's funny to me is I am Joe the fan. I do not claim to be an expert at anything, although I do know people and I do know how to do some things, okay? I think my wife's made a shirt like that for me. And sometimes I do get some things right. Sometimes people do tell me things that are, a little bit, kind of double secret and things like that. So I get a little bit, okay? But I'm not claiming to be an expert. But people that are on television or that are writers and stuff, you would think that they know exactly what they're talking about. So one of the things, the reason I'm bringing this up is it's kind of crazy. Sorry, let me turn the music down some. It's kind of crazy because the Cowboys flipped the triggers for CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and stuff. And listening to some of the talking heads in the shows and stuff, they're saying, oh, well, they got $54 million, but they got to pay Osa Digazua. It's like that money's already counted on there. And they're flipping the triggers to pay Micah. And it's like, huh? Micah is not a free agent. So let me give you a taste of what I'm talking about here. So here's what's cool. This is amazing if you're a Cowboy fan. If you look at this, you'll see right above my head that number, team cap space at the moment, $54 million. Understand, we started out last year, we never got over $8 million the whole offseason. And with that, we signed our rookie class. We brought back Zeke. We signed Eric Kendricks and a bunch of, bottom tier free agents. We got $54 million right now. But wait, because you acted now, there's more. There's $18 million, $18.9 million that's a rollover that's going to be added to that 54. And here's the other part of this. The talking heads saying, well, they're going to have to use some of that to pay Micah. Don't understand the basics of how this works. Micah Parsons is in the 5th year option. The 5th year option is the same as being really tagged. It's the last year of the deal. The money's guaranteed, and you can't restructure it. You can't reduce that number. You can't do anything. It is a hard number, just like the franchise tag. However, let's move down here a little bit lower for a second. You'll see Osa Digazua's contract right here. Osa just signed a $90 million contract that averages $20 million a year. And what you see is his cap number, it's not the franchise tag price of 25.1. It's not $20 million. It's $6.25 million for a cap hit for this year. It's already baked in. So the Cowboys getting Micah Parsons done, getting the rollover money, are almost at $90 million of cap space. Here's another thing. For all those out there that say, well, Dak Prescott, we can't do anything because of Dak Prescott. Nobody else is actually talking about this either. We have $54 million. Effectively, another 18 is coming. Actually, we could say another 36. We have, say, $90 million. With $90 million, you can go ahead, you could get Tyler Smith locked up down the road. You could get Deron Bland locked up down the road and be a player in free agency. But here's the nice thing. Now, understand that Dak Prescott's cap number for next year is going to be $76 million, with $97 million dead. But projected already for next year, you still have $56 million. If we don't spend that whole 90, that money rolls over into next year. And look at 2027. They got $115 million of cap space. You have room to be able to kick the can down the road on these contracts. And mind you, Dak Prescott's cap number is only $70 million. And this is with the restructuring. Now, that would be if you cut him at the end of 26, you would take a $60 million dead hit. But as the cap is going up, you could absorb that. And in 2028, you're going to end up having tons and tons of it. So as we look at the hierarchy here of where teams are, the New England Patriots, it's amazing, $127 million. The Raiders, $95 million. Chargers, $90 million after letting go Joey Bosa last night. Cardinals, $77. The Commanders must have made some moves and kicked that money up a little bit more to $64. I didn't think it was quite that high, but maybe I was wrong. The Vikings at $62, Steelers at $59, and there's the Cowboys at $54. And that number is only going to grow. We are in a great, great place right now. It is unbelievable where we are, and we have to give kudos to the Cowboys organization right now that maybe last year was the blow it up year, and that this year is the year that we're going to try and do some things. Now, none of that means anything if they don't work on some trades to bring in more talent. What they're doing, at least at the moment, is securing the pieces that were valuable and that are going to be good going forward. But we're still dealing with 9 starters last year that weren't replaced. And we have to replace those guys, which means we're going to need to look outside the building. Now, one person who's seemingly becoming a rock star is Osa Indigazua, who did the rounds yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, towing the Dallas Cowboys line, saying it's not a distraction for people knocking on the glass. Let's go to the tape here.
Let's talk about playing for the Dallas Cowboys. We've learned over the last couple of years, there's tours going through your facility. Is that accurate, or how much are we blowing that out of proportion? What is it like to be a Dallas Cowboy?
I feel like the tours get blown out of proportion a little bit. Like, they're just kind of like walking through common areas. They'll look at some of the pictures on the wall upstairs. They're never like in our meeting rooms while we're there. They're never like in the locker room while we're there, and they're never in the weight room while we're there. Like, they're just like walking through. So I don't mind people just walking through and looking. It's a beautiful building. Make money off of it. You know what I mean? And it's
Make money off to pay me.
Getting the work done.
Let's talk about playing for the Dallas Cowboys. We've learned over the last couple of years, there's tours going through your facility.
Okay.
Is that accurate?
All right. Not only that one, he also hit up Kay Adams. I was like, damn. Nobody knew who he was before he got paid.
Face is saying, no, we have the guy we want.
We have the guy we want. The team in the locker room loves Shotty, and I think that's part of where it starts. And I believe he's a smart guy, and the person that he is, he's a good dude. You know, called me afterwards.
Really?
Said congratulations. Me and my family went to dinner. He found out where we went to dinner at, and he sent me a little gift too. You know, just the kind of care that he has for us, and it's the kind of coach that you can run through a wall for. You know.
What did he send you? What did he send?
Some champagne.
Bottle of champagne.
He did. He found out where you guys were going, and he said, "Deliver." That's a classy touch. That's nice.
Guy.
All right.
Sure.
More strip sacks on the way here.
So there you have it. We've got a classy coach. So we're in a different space right now. The outlook for the Cowboys is actually pretty good with the moves and things that they've made. Now, the question is will the Cowboys actually do anything? Let me say this for Dak Prescott haters. The moves that were just made yesterday with restructuring his contract make it harder to walk away from him. What that move says is we're supporting Dak Prescott. He's our quarterback going forward, and we can take the money, and we're going to use that, hopefully, to help him. You can be pissed off and say that Dak's not good enough if you want to. That's fine. But I'm sitting here looking, as much as people talk about how great Josh Allen is, Josh Allen ain't been to the Super Bowl either. As good as they say a lot of these quarterbacks are that are getting paid. they're not getting the Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts, they had to go out and get him a number one receiver, and you got to look and say, the Eagles, the move they made for A.J. Brown, that they literally traded a number one to Tennessee, look where Tennessee is and look where the Eagles are. But that wasn't enough. The Eagles, as much as I trash them and hate them and all that, they are a well-run organization right now. They recognize that talent matters and that you have to go out there and not just say, this one will do. We got to get the best. We got to get the best players that we can. We got to figure out how to make it all work in the salary cap. And if we make a mistake, oh well. They got like $50 or $60 million in dead money. They don't care. Just keep on moving. We have to understand, to compete with the Eagles and now the upstart Commanders, we've got to get better. And you now have the opportunity to do it. Now, you don't want to go out here and blow your wad all on one or two players. That's been the Cowboys' problem for years. We've always been so top-heavy on the roster. See, the thing that killed us more than anything else last year was we had no depth. When you lost a D-Law or you lost a Sam Williams, when we started losing players, the cupboard was bare. This is the thing that New England did better than anybody during their heyday. It wasn't just about having, all these superstars. We were deep to 30 people. We had people that, hey, you may only be good for us for 12 plays a game, but they're going to be special 12 plays a game that helped us get an advantage. They had a good mix of older veterans, and they recognized that when they brought people in, rejuvenated their careers, they go off and get paid like we did with Robert Quinn, they'd get a comp pick. They recognize sometimes you're better off trading a guy to Cleveland and getting high draft picks and compensation for him to keep the flow of talent coming. Now, we're behind the curve. But we have some great building pieces. Getting Osa Odighizuwa is a key cog for Matt Eberflus. Having a Micah Parsons, I was actually surprised because when you think of somebody like Joey Bosa, like Joey Bosa, he's been a premier pass rusher all his career, great guy. He gets released yesterday, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, Joey Bosa, you got to go get him. Here's the thing that's amazing is Joey Bosa has been, let me pull up his stats real quick, because I was surprised. I would have thought that he had more sacks than what I thought. He's got 72 in his career, and he's played 9 years. 9 years. He's got 72. Think about this for a second when you talk about trading Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has been in the NFL 4 seasons. And I can't remember, was it 52 and a half? 52 and a half. So Micah Parsons has been in the league less than half the time of Joey Bosa, and he's only 20 sacks away from him. Micah Parsons is averaging 4 more sacks a year than that guy. You can say he's a one-trick pony. All he does is get sacks. Okay. Well, Bosa's been consistently one of the, considered as one of the best pass rushers, edge rushers out there. And Micah Parsons is leaving in the dust. You got a guy like him. You got the piece with Osa Odighizuwa in there. You're going to have to supplement that. Maybe you bring back D-Law. I don't know, for a year. You can do that with the money that you have. But you're going to need to get some other pieces to go along with this to get this defense to really and truly fly. So when I think about where we are in a fantastic spot. question will be is, will the Dallas Cowboys do anything with it? If you listen to Jerry, no, we're not going to be doing anything with it. But I, for one, am as excited as can be. There's some wide receivers out there right now. It seems like, to me, it seems like wide receivers this year are running backs of 2 years ago. Everybody's getting rid of them. And maybe it's because the pendulum has swung. Sometimes I've said, when I look at Super Bowl winning teams, more times than not in recent history, they've had a great tight end, but it's not always the great wide receivers that win Super Bowls. Think about that for a minute. But there are some really good wide receivers that are hitting the market. The question is what tier do the Cowboys go? Because we've got a wide range from Christian Kirk to now DK wanting to be traded. So let's listen to, while we finish this off, listen to ESPN and their take on it.
Begins on Monday. Shefty, let's run the hurry up through some of the news. Yesterday, Max Crosby got big bucks.
The highest paid non-quarterback in football history. And Greeny, this is the start of what's going to be a busy offseason for pass rushers. We think Myles Garrett will get paid. We think T.J. Watt will get paid. We think Micah Parsons will get paid. We think Trey Hendrickson will be paid. But yesterday, Max Crosby got paid. All the speculation about him leaving Las Vegas, that's out the window. He's not going anywhere. He's staying on what is now a record deal at this point in time. As for last night, the Los Angeles Chargers made the move to release five-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Joey Bosa. Basically frees up a ton of money against the cap. They were scheduled to pay him a roster bonus next week that they didn't want to. And let's keep in mind here that Joey Bosa is now a free agent, and so is Khalil Mack. So the Chargers' two best pass rushers both are not tied to the team, and we'll see what the Chargers do to replace it. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott restructured his contract, freed up about $36 million in salary cap space for the Cowboys. One day after CD Lamb freed up another $20 million. Cowboys now have $56 million. Cowboys fans out there are waiting to see if they make a big move. Jerry Jones has said they're going to be selectively aggressive. They want to re-sign their own players. They want to pay their draft class. We'll see how it works out. I don't expect a spending spree, but we'll see how they spend it.
Well, let's hear from Jerry. So, again, they've opened up all of this cap space. And Jerry, yesterday with reporters, this is what he said about his team's plans for free agency.
I don't think aggressive is the right word. I'm not looking at free agency as a place to fill voids.
Okay. So you don't have any voids, would you
Not
say?
if you include what might work for us in the draft and what we're doing with our own roster relative to who we want to sign.
Oh, good God. So, I mean...
Good God is right.
So, I mean, he literally just said the words, I do not look at us as having voids, when all we watched an entire season's worth of a team that has obvious gaping voids, right? I mean, there are voids all over the place, perfect places to spend money wisely, selectively, any other way you choose. The draft is one way to fill those holes, but they don't have 9 picks that they're going to be able to plug in as starters. They should be spending this money, and D. Wood, he's telling you right now he's not going to.
See, this would drive the Dallas Cowboys fan. Like, my wife is a Dallas Cowboys fan. It drives her crazy to hear Jerry Jones say stuff like this, because you look in your own division, you see what the Philadelphia Eagles did last offseason to kind of propel them to win, to be a Super Bowl champion. And you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they weren't able to run the ball. They weren't able to stop the run. And so you can't count on just draft picks coming in and filling everything. You need to supplement the guys that you draft, which, oh, by the way, the Dallas Cowboys do a very good job of drafting and developing, but you still need to go in the dip in the free agency and sign guys to plug some holes. So to hear Jerry Jones say stuff like that, it makes you wonder, are you really committed to being all in? Are you really committed to winning a championship if you're going to clear all this cap space, but you're not going to use it to try to fill these voids?
Well, I think Jerry got to stop making a mockery when he gets up there and talks. Like, it's evident that he is not focused on winning, because if he was, then you won't go up there and say that. And I don't believe, even though they just opened up $50 million plus in cap space, I don't believe they're going to sign anybody until I actually see it being done.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to sign Micah Parsons, and that's where a lot of this money is going to go, we would assume.
You need a baseline of money to be able to try to re-sign some of your own free agents, which they want to do, like Jordan Lewis, like Rico Dowdle, maybe DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. You want to pay your own guys. You need money to pay your draft class. You need money to have flexibility. It's not like they're not going to spend in free agency, but it's not like they're going to jump into the market and all of a sudden sign 5 different players to premium prices. By restructuring these contracts, they've given themselves the flexibility that they need to address certain needs. This doesn't lead to some spending spree. That's not where they're going with this. This allows them the flexibility to do what they feel like they need to make sure that this roster is intact.
Well, I mean, that's basically what he said. We're going to sign our own guys, and their own guys were just basically a well below average NFL
That's what I'm saying. You went 7-10 last year with your own guys.
Yeah.
You don't think you should be looking elsewhere to sign other players to come and help your football team?
Yeah, I mean,
that bothers me.
If there's evidence directly in their faces, in their own division, of how spending money works.
NFL. Adam Schefter reports Seahawks Pro Bowl receiver DK Metcalf requesting a trade after 2 weeks of discussions with the team. He's averaged over 1,000 receiving yards in his 6 seasons in Seattle. The Seahawks already releasing Tyler Lockett, so that receiver room looking a little bit bare. For much more on this, let's bring in our NFL insider Dan Graziano and our 2-time Super Bowl champ Booger McFarland. I'll start with you, Dan. What are you hearing about which teams could be in the mix to trade for Metcalf?
Yeah, Elle, I feel like it's the same teams over the past year that have been looking for number 1 receivers. Remember, like when Brandon Ayuk was available last summer. Think about the Patriots. Think about the Steelers, the Broncos, the Ravens. DK Metcalf is a number 1 wide receiver who's 27 years old. He is different from the other wide receivers that are going to be on this market. He's younger than guys like Devontae Adams and Tyler Lockett and Christian Kirk. You know, he's bigger and stronger than really anyone that plays the wide receiver position in the history of the world. So he's going to have some appeal to teams that are looking for that anchor wide receiver for their wide receiver room, as opposed to, like, you know, the teams that are looking for a 2 or a 3 to complement the superstar.
I completely agree with you, Dan. And when you think about anchor wide receivers, you're talking about number 1 guys, and I like to pair them with young quarterbacks. How about Jordan Love with DK Metcalf in Green Bay? How about Michael Penix Jr. with DK Metcalf in Atlanta? I think wherever he goes, he's going to be looking for a new contract. I would love to pair him with a young quarterback. And to me, that's the best way you go about doing this. Just the way they did with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. You give your young quarterback a veteran wide receiver, somebody to throw the ball to, a bona fide number 1. Green Bay and Atlanta, Dan, are the first 2 teams come to mind. I would love to see that fit.
Yeah, and you talk about a team like Atlanta that has some skill position players maybe they could send back towards Seattle to make that trade happen as well. Metcalf, by the way, coming off of a 66-catch, 992-yard, 5-touchdown season, missed 2 games with a knee injury. The Cowboys also, though, have some decisions they need to make, and they're getting in position. Todd Archer reports they restructured quarterback Dak Prescott's contract, created over $36 million in cap space. He was due to carry the biggest cap hit in the league at $89 million. The move comes after Dallas also restructured CeeDee Lamb's contract. In fact, if you take a look at the last couple of days, the boys have created about $56.6 million in cap room. Dallas had already inked star defensive tackle Osa Odigizua to a 4-year, $80 million deal, but still had decisions to make it running back and in both trenches. So, Dan, what areas are the Cowboys hoping they can address with this newfound cap space?
Yeah, the next free agent of their own that they're interested in trying to bring back is cornerback Jordan Lewis. And whether they bring him back or not, they're going to continue to look for upgrades and additions in their secondary on defense. This cap space was always going to be there. The Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb deals were built to be reconstructed this way in the second year. So they'll use the cap space to fortify on defense. They'll look to upgrade on the defensive line alongside Micah Parsons and also Odigizua, especially if they don't bring back DeMarcus Lawrence. And then on offense, they're looking for a number 2 wide receiver behind CeeDee Lamb and a dynamic playmaker, ideally at running back, to pair with Rico Dowdle, who they'd like to bring back. He was a good performer for them late in the year last year. So Dallas' plan doesn't really change because all of a sudden they found cap space. They always knew it was going to be there. Those are the areas they're looking to attack.
There you go.
So let's add this.
It's up, Dan. They need a right guard because Zach Martin has retired. They need a running back because the running game was terrible. They need a secondary wide receiver, somebody to help C.D. Lamb out. Defensive tackle, they need somebody to get bigger because Mozzie Smith has been a disappointment. Oh, by the way, DeMario Overshone is coming off a bad knee injury, so they need a linebacker. Stop me when I run out of time here because they need a bunch of stuff. Overall, they need a talent upgrade so they can continue. They can continue to free up money. But when are they going to free up and get some more talent? Dallas has to become a way more talented team.
Agreed. You're right, though, but a lot of that, to Dan's point, does start with their running back. I mean, Rico Dowdle aside, they were 30th in the NFL in yards per rush attempt.
Yeah.
They had 6.
All right, so I'm going to finish up with this because here's where I'm going to disagree with them some. Some of the issues were philosophy. Mike McCarthy likes to throw the football. Second problem was the offensive line. You had 2 rookies starting. I'm not going to say that we are better at offensive line yet, but I think the change in philosophy may be with your being more balanced, you will run the football better. We just did not run the football at all until Dak Prescott got hurt. With a balanced offense, you'll see that running game getting better, and you'll see some of the players like a Terrence Steele, if it's not always pass blocking, being better. That's my thought. And yes, a better running back is always going to help, but if you don't take care of the core issue of the offensive line and the philosophy of putting people to be successful, using the tools that they are best with, you're not going to win. It's just the way it is. Alrighty, good people, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and we'll keep you up to speed. See if today slows down some, or if we just have another crazy, crazy day like we've had the last couple of days. As a Cowboys YouTuber or blogger, this is great. Peace.